Good afternoon. Today I'm joined by Rich O'Brien, owner and director of Devilish Creative. So it's another exciting part of our Business Spotlight interview series. So good afternoon, Rich.
Lovely to speak to you, Mark. I hope you're doing well.
Not so bad. Enjoying the sun. So first of all, Rich, could you tell us a little bit about what you do and for how long you've been doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've worked in the creative industry, so all forms of marketing it'll be my 20th anniversary in summer. So most of my adult life, I'm 38 now. So but I started working in graphic design, freelance. I've done everything from publishing to branding and brand creation, lots and lots of things, video production, photography. So jack of all trades, master of none. But yeah,
and you
that's the modest answer.
And you started the business how long ago?
About 4.5 years ago. I dabbled with different brand names before that. So I'd gone by Lobster House Creative and Rich O'Brien and things like that, but kind of settled on Devilish and the kind of ethos behind it about 4.5 years ago.
Very good. And creative in the name, absolutely.
You'd be surprised how many companies forget to put something in their name that says what they do. So, yeah.
Very good. When you think of business, is there any people that specifically come to mind that you think, well,
absolutely. I've got two. One's more kind of wide-reaching and one's very personal. For the wide-reaching one, Peter McKinnon, who's an incredible photographer and video producer on YouTube. Highly recommend you check him out. But he's come from just doing photography and slowly branched into marketing and personal branding in particular. Phenomenal photographer, incredible videographer, but he's now doing stuff for brands like James Coffee and things like that in Canada. And he's kind of just stumbled on everything. He's just very lucky and very talented. So I really admire him just for his attitude of trying things. And his main kind of ethos is done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Which I firmly stand by. You know, it's better to do things than procrastinate and hope that you can improve it. But the other one, shameless plug for someone in the Cheshire area, is someone I actually put through their CIM course. I was mentoring them through that. Her name's Giada Nizzoli, and she runs Crafty Copy, which is a copywriting firm based out in Chester. She's incredible for the amount of time she's been working in marketing. It's really inspiring to me to see the little bit of coaching I give her and how she's kind of took that ball, and yeah, she's doing incredible things. So yeah, definitely would like to give a shameless plug to Giada there.
So you've inspired her and she's inspiring.
It definitely inspired me. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to kind of work with her, and I still now will refer copywriting work through her because she's just got a knack for it. She's so talented. So
certainly a couple of names there for me to look up.
Oh, absolutely. Enjoy Peter McKinnon's content. It's brilliant.
When we've obviously come through this horrible pandemic and stuff, how did it change anything? What business change did you have to make, Rich, during that time?
It's interesting because I've been doing marketing for 20 years, so I'm a bit of a dinosaur now. I've done print. You know, there's a lot of people now that have never done print and had to price up a print run. But with digital, I feel like everything evolved so fast. I was actually working with Restaurant Groups then, one of the UK's biggest franchises. And the adaptation to things like dark kitchens and new business avenues and having to adapt to other platforms like, say, Deliveroo's own platform is a marketing suite in itself. So having to adapt to new things is a matter of necessity. But in regards to marketing as a whole, I think the one thing that COVID made a lot of companies realize is when there's a downturn, normally marketing is where they'll make their cuts first. I started freelancing because of redundancy, so I entirely understand this. But they cut marketing and then they would hire more salespeople, assuming that if there's more people actively selling, they'll sell more units and catch up with that shortfall.
Yeah.
I think what people have realized now is market share is way more important. If you're not pooling from a massive pool of people, it doesn't matter how many salespeople you hire, because your competition is going to be bleeding into your catchment as well. COVID really leveled the playing field and made everyone actually market their businesses properly in a more modern way. So yeah, it was tough, very, very tough, but it was exciting at the same time. I think the industry got a real shake up.
Yeah.
So,
and generally, I've heard sort of 5 years advancement really because of COVID in digital.
Yeah. Well, we're doing this meeting over Zoom.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And no one was using that as a platform. People were still using Skype, and every social media platform now has pretty much added a video calling facility. So, it just shows, even on the most basic end of things, it's really ramped things up.
Yeah. It's nice to find a positive, isn't it? From that
yeah, well, you have to, because it was bleak otherwise.
It was indeed. What would you say some of your biggest learnings have been since being a business owner, Rich?
First one, make sure your contracts are in order. 18-year-old me did so much work that I didn't get paid for. So if any of those are listening, I'll put my PayPal in the link in the bio. Getting your contracts in order, actual legal end of things, paperwork, protections. I had no clue when I started. So that's been a big one. And the other one is just actually be confident, if you're confident enough to go into business, start a restaurant or start a bike hire firm, anything like that, just be confident in your product. And I think I was a bit sort of trepidatious in my early days. I was very nervous to approach and offer my services. So.
Okay, great lessons there. And what are your aspirations in the next 5 years then, Rich, the creative?
Just to make really good stuff. I know that sounds, I am not a money motivated person. I know a lot of people that have gone into marketing and make very lucrative careers out of it. I do really well. So I'm really, really happy with that. For me, it's always been like a creative pursuit. So if I worked with a company, say Action Coach, I work with Action Coach, I'd want to just make really good content for Action Coach, step it up a little bit, and, or any other business. So yeah, for me, it's just continuing to improve and continuing to grow. I want to retire and take photos in Canada and the Rockies. That's all I want to do. So,
photos in Canada and the Rockies.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Take some pictures of bald eagles and things like that. That's the dream.
And what year are you going to achieve that?
Maybe not right now. But yeah, certainly, that's the joy of working in creative in particular, is that, as long as there's a spark there, I can pretty much carry on going. I'll always find something to be passionate about in it. So that's kind of exciting. I'm very lucky I fell into this as a career.
In your role, Rich, as business owner, and indeed for some of your other roles, what's your current sort of thinking on the employment situation?
Well, harkening back to COVID, I actually think it's changed the job market for marketing. So it's very specialized now. I offer very broad services in quite specific niches. But for the job market now, you can specialize in social media. So someone who's 18 years old and has really cracked the algorithm on Instagram, for example, there's a job there for them now. Whereas I went through very, very entry-level positions that were very low paying for a very long time in my career, just to sort of get my foot in the door. And I think now you can make your own destiny. And likewise in Cheshire, you're D-side based. So again, even in D-side, industries are waking up to the fact that they are not just in the haulage business or the manufacturing business. They're in the content business because your competition's in it. You've got a story to tell, and through marketing, That's the main way of doing it. So for the job market, I think companies are becoming a lot more savvy and making good hires and looking at niches that they want to explore. So that could be video, photography. So I think it's good. If I had one thing that I would moan about, because I've got a lot of friends that work client side and agency side, it's that people are still underpaying for those services. It's still not going to be as well paid as if you manage to branch out and work for yourself. But there are jobs there, and they are good. So,
the jobs are there. Are the people there?
I think there's definitely skill gaps, because I think people are still following that broad idea of I am a marketer rather than I'm a copywriter or I'm a photographer or I'm a videographer. So, yeah, I think if there's one thing, if there's any issues looking for work, try and find a niche, because I guarantee hire you based on those skills alone.
Very good. Good advice, that one. And actually employing people, are there any sort of lessons that you want to learn about managing and leading people?
Hiring the finished article is great. But if you can nurture people in your team, I think you'll get a lot more mileage out of it. Purely from this is how my company operates. They're not set in their ways. So I think younger people, and also it's just ideas. Like I'm 38 years old now. I do not have it all figured out. And TikTok was a new platform to me, whereas some people have entirely raised their marketing careers on it. So if you're looking at marketing, young people are going to bring new ideas to it. So yeah, just for hiring, I think find someone who's enthusiastic and actually wants to learn. It's not necessarily, they're not necessarily going to have the most glowing CV, but they will have that enthusiasm, that passion that's going to drive them through and make them, incredible for your business.
And you retain them. Or you've got more chance of retaining them.
Yeah. And, if they go, then at least, they're going to go away with a good, idea of your company and you as a person, because they may well end up coming back.
Great point. Let's try and, you've mentioned you're 38. I'm a lot older than you. Let's try and drag you back 20 years ago. And what sort of advice would you give yourself as your 18-year-old self?
Specialize.
On some of this.
Specialize. And I never did it. I always advertised myself as a marketer, and I was doing graphic design. I really should have niched down, and I probably would have done a lot better. And read more, because I've only really started reading marketing books since COVID. Stuff like Seth Godin and Ryan Holiday. I was very much like, I'll go online and learn this one thing rather than philosophy. Yeah. And I do that a lot more now. So things like, business coaching and things is something I was very, very set against. And now I'm a lot more open to it, because even if you take nothing away from it, you read a book and you take nothing from it, that's not for you as a tactic or a philosophy. So yeah, read more would have been a big one.
Yeah. So that personal development side, but specialism. But to be fair to you, 20 years ago, even for you, even worse for me, was that everyone was probably generalists then, weren't they?
Yeah, I grew up, I got my start really doing graphic design for MySpace pages. There's a flashback. But so I used to play in a punk rock band. So I used to do all the band's MySpace pages. So I learned HTML code to code and make the pages look pretty, did all the design work for it. And there were a lot of people then that were like 16 to 18 years old that made a lot of money specializing in that. So there were specialists, but I think it was more in things like photography and stuff. Now you've got SEO, copywriting, social media is so much more diverse. But I do wish I'd niched down a little bit and just been a bit more confident in myself doing one thing really well, and then growing from there. So.
Lovely. And a question we always like to ask the businesses we talk to is, there anything that you want to share that you provide as an offer as part of your service?
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone's watching and they would like to know what they're doing right and doing wrong and see where they can go from there, I do offer completely free 30-minute consultation. Just listen to your pain points more than anything, and sort of give you some ideas. I'm a firm believer in teach a man to fish. I think it's sometimes a lot easier to identify those problems when someone goes, yeah, okay. There's a lot of businesses that struggle with that, and then obviously we can form a plan from there and see where you want to go. Either way, it's totally free. I love talking about marketing, so peck my head, ask me some questions. Yeah.
So people just contact you, Rich, and then you'd arrange an appointment.
Yeah, absolutely. Our website actually relaunches next Friday. We've taken it down, so we're moving to a new host, but it is devilishcreative.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Rich O'Brien. I'm the one with the pretentious black and white photos. Hit me up there, and I'm quite happy to discuss all things marketing with you.
Yeah, and coffee, I recall.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Coffee, podcasts, and creative work. It's pretty much what fuels me at the moment. Cats as well. I've just rescued a new one. So,
great stuff. Rich, it's been a delight speaking to you. And
it's a pleasure, Mark.
And most importantly, thanks for all your lessons today.
Not a problem. Honestly, thanks so much for having me, and keep up the good work. It's a really good show, man.
Thank you very much.